Most leaders feel pressure to have all the answers. They think, if I don't know, I'll look weak, or if I hesitate, I'll lose credibility, or if I ask too many questions, people will start to doubt me. So they guess, they posture, and they pretend. And that right there is where leadership starts to break down, because the leaders who feel like they need to know everything are usually the ones learning the least. Today, we're going to flip that mindset. Welcome to another episode of the Leading Life Podcast, where we talk practical wisdom for leadership and life. I'm your host, Andy Zook, and I've learned that leadership is about how we show up for people, how we navigate change, and how we continue growing. Right now on today's episode, why leaders who don't always know grow. This is the Leading Life Podcast, where we talk about what it takes to grow, lead, and live with purpose. As I always promise, no fluff, no empty motivation, and just real tools that you can start to use today and go be the leader who's not afraid to say, I don't know yet, because that leader is going to win. One thing I often say is there are many managers who walk around talking about what they know, while there are leaders actually out there forging new directions by asking questions about what they don't know. So first, let's talk about this lie that we're sold. Somewhere along the way, leadership got confused with certainty. You got promoted because you were capable, and then suddenly the expectation became, well, you should now have the answers for everything. Well, let me give you some real-world truth from 35 years of leadership. The higher you go, the less clear things actually become sometimes. You're dealing with people dynamics, unclear data, changing priorities, and situations that nobody trains you for. And yet, leaders still feel pressure to perform with certainty. So what happens? They stop exploring, they stop listening, they stop learning, and they start protecting their image. And what the risk here is of a false certainty. Let's break this down, because this is where it gets really costly. Number one, it shuts down your team. When a leader always has the answer, the team stops thinking, why would they? You've already decided for them. Number two, it creates fear instead of trust. If you can't admit uncertainty, your team won't either. And now people hide mistakes or questions and ideas from you. And third, it locks you into bad decisions. You ever double down on something just because you already said it out loud? That is false certainty at work. And then fourth, it slows growth. If you always know, you never have to learn. And if you're not learning, you're going to eventually fall behind. So here is what the best leaders do instead. There is a difference between being uncertain and being unsteady, because the strongest leaders I've ever seen did something different. Number one, they think out loud, not recklessly, but with transparency. They say, here's what I'm seeing, or here's what I don't know, or let's work through this together this way. That starts to build trust fast. Number two, they ask better questions. Instead of rushing to the answer, they ask, hey, what are we missing? Or who else should weigh in? Or what would make this fail? That's leadership. Number three, they create thinking teams, not dependent teams. So when you don't dominate every conversation, you start to develop the people. Here's the truth most leaders miss. Your job isn't to be the smartest in the room. It's to make the room itself smarter. A strong leader can say, I don't know yet, without sounding lost. Why? Well, because their confidence isn't in having every single answer. Their confidence is in their ability to find the answer. And then number four, they change their minds without ego. This is really the big one of all. Weak leaders protect their position. Strong leaders update their thinking. And they say it out loud. You know what? I had this wrong. So here's what we're going to do now instead. That doesn't kill credibility. It actually builds it. It makes you incredibly human. So let's talk a little bit about the psychology behind this thinking. Your brain hates uncertainty. We all know that. It wants closure, and it wants it fast. So when you don't know something, your mind tries to fill in the gap, or it creates a story, or it locks in an answer. Even if it's incomplete, that's why people start to rush decisions. But high-level leaders learn to override that instinct. They create space between not knowing and deciding. And in that space, better thinking will happen. You know, I once had a great boss named Randy who really helped me grow. I was young, 22 years old, and just learning my way into management. And he asked me, how could we strengthen training around the store? Now, Here's what made Randy different. He didn't just walk in pretending he had every answer. He had a framework. He had a direction. But then he created space for me to think. He'd ask things like, what do you think we could do to make this better? Or how could we make this easier for the team to understand? Or what would help people actually retain what they're learning? And because he gave me room to contribute, I started thinking bigger and better. We worked through all these ideas together. We tested things. We adjusted. And over time, that thinking grew into better training systems that eventually gained traction in the whole company. That's what great leaders do. They don't just hand people answers. They help people discover their own ability to think, solve, build, and lead. And so shout out to Randy, my first great manager. He was the one that really helped get the ball rolling for me. I hope he hears this someday. So here is your leadership edge for this episode. 3 simple shifts that I want you to make. Replace I need to know with I need to understand. That one change will slow you down in the best possible way. Replace I need to know with I need to understand. Number 2, I want you to normalize not knowing. I know this is incredibly hard to do because we all want the answers, but say it out loud in front of your team. Just say, I don't have the full picture yet, and watch what happens. You'll see people around you start to help fill in the gap and start to come forward with ideas and ways that you can improve. Number 3, reward thinking, not just answers. So when someone brings you a perspective, recognize it. Build a culture where the thinking wins. Okay, so here is this week's call to action. This week, I want you to try something simple but powerful. In your next 3 conversations, instead of giving the answer right away, I want you to ask one more question. Pause a little longer, and if needed, say, I'm not sure yet. That's not weakness, that's leadership. And here are some questions to kind of help propel you a little bit forward in this thinking. Number 1, where in your life are you pretending to be certain when you're not? Number 2, what's one situation right now where you need more understanding and not necessarily faster answers? And number 3, how would your team respond if you gave them more space to think? I think that's the best question of all. How would your team respond if you gave them more space to think? I think this is, immediately all of us want to show our prowess as leaders and we want to come in with all the answers. But when you make them a partner in coming up with ideas, coming up with the answers, even the coaching itself and what they need help in, you'll be surprised how much more buy-in you have from them and how stronger you're going to make your relationship with said employee. The leaders who win aren't the ones who know everything. That's what I want you to remember. They're the ones who stop learning, and that's not going to be you. I want you to stay open, stay curious, and keep it real. That's what builds trust. That's what builds people. And that's what builds the legacy that you're building. All right. So that is today's episode. And if this podcast made a positive impact on you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And I'd truly appreciate a quick rating or review on whatever platform you listen to me on. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up next on the Leading Life Podcast. I'm Andy Zook. Remember, I want you to lead with purpose, live with intention, and keep becoming who you were meant to be. But most importantly, I want you to go out today and be the hero in somebody's story. I'll talk to you on the next episode. Thanks for being here with me. Have an awesome day, awesome week ahead. Keep leading. Bye.